Money is one of the most powerful systems ever created, and yet, almost no one truly understands how it works. Every day, you earn it, spend it, depend on it, without ever questioning what it really is. But here's the problem. The system behind money isn't just complicated. It quietly shapes your life, your opportunities, your limits, even your future. And most people never see it because money doesn't look like power. It looks normal, invisible, almost natural. But for most of human history, it didn't even exist. If you want to understand how money really works, consider subscribing because this is just the beginning. Before money existed, human societies worked in a completely different way. Small groups survived through cooperation, food was shared, tools were shared. Survival depended on trust, not transactions. There were no prices, no salaries, no profit, only relationships. But as societies grew, things started to change. People began to specialize. Some became hunters, others farmers, others craftsmen, and this created a new problem. How do you exchange value when everyone produces something different? This led to the earliest form of exchange, barter. At first, barter seems simple, almost logical, but it hides a problem that would shape the future of money. For barter to work, both people need to want exactly what the other has at the same time, and that rarely happens. This is known as the double coincidence of wants, and it made trade slow, inefficient, and limited. So societies started looking for something better, something everyone would accept. This is where proto-money appears. Because the bartering system was failing, humanity needed a bridge, something that could store value across time and space. Different societies chose different things based on what was scarce and respected in their environment. In many cultures, that thing was salt. It was so essential for preserving food that it became a primary currency. In fact, the very word salary comes from the Latin salarium, the payment made to Roman soldiers in salt. In other places, the foundation of wealth was cattle, animals that provided milk, meat, and labor. But cattle were hard to divide. How do you pay for a small loaf of bread? With a whole cow. So they looked for smaller, more practical units, shells, grain, beads, objects that held intrinsic value and could be exchanged more easily. And this changed everything, because for the first time, trade wasn't just about immediate survival, it was about accumulation. People could trade for things they didn't need today, knowing they could use that proto-money tomorrow. Trade expanded beyond the village. Markets began to form. But even this system had its limits. Salt melts in the rain, grain rots in the damp, cattle eventually die. The search for a perfect store of value continued. And this is where metals changed the course of history.
This is where money stops being just a tool and starts becoming a system of control. Because coins didn't just represent value, they represented authority. Rulers and emperors understood something that changed history forever. Whoever controls the currency controls the destiny of the people. Governments enforced them, laws protected them, and suddenly, money became inseparable from power. Once that connection was established, it never disappeared. Coins were the fuel of empires. They allowed for the expansion of borders, the collection of taxes across thousands of miles, and most importantly, paying armies. Without coins, there would be no legions. Without legions, there would be no Rome. But this power brought a shadow: manipulation. Rulers discovered they could cheat the system. They began mixing gold and silver with cheap metals, reducing the actual value of the coin while demanding it stay the same. It was the first great robbery in economic history.
And when that happened, trust, the only real foundation of money, began to erode. Carrying metal became dangerous, heavy, impractical. The world was growing too fast, and humanity needed a solution that was safer and much lighter.
And that's, right there, where modern banking begins. Goldsmiths started storing precious metals for others in their private vaults, and in return they issued simple paper receipts. At first, these receipts were just proof of ownership, a way to claim what was yours. But then, something unexpected happened, something that would change the destiny of the world forever. People stopped withdrawing their gold. Instead of carrying heavy coins, they started trading the receipts themselves. The paper became the currency. And suddenly, money was no longer a physical object you could hold or weigh. It became a promise. And once money becomes a promise, the entire system changes completely. Banks realized something critical. It was statistically impossible for everyone to ask for their gold at the exact same time. So they did the unthinkable. They started issuing more receipts than the gold they actually had in their vaults. They began lending, creating money out of thin air through credit. And this is where things get even more interesting. Because modern money, it doesn't work the way most people think it does. It is far more fragile and far more powerful than you can imagine. And now, we reach the present, the reality of modern money. Most people believe their currency is printed by governments, but the truth is far more complex. Most money today is not created by a printing press. It's created by banks. Out of thin air, every single time a loan is issued, new money enters the system. It's a digital heartbeat, which means something fundamental has changed. Money is no longer limited by physical resources. It's no longer tied to gold or silver. It expands through debt. And this creates a relentless machine, a system that depends on continuous, infinite growth. Because if that growth slows, if the gears grind to a halt, repayment becomes impossible. Instability increases, and the whole tower begins to lean. Central banks sit at the very center of this spider web. They don't create most of the money directly, but they control the oxygen. They dictate the conditions. Through interest rates, through policy, through silent influence. And this power is absolute. By simply shifting a decimal point, by changing a single rate, they can affect entire civilizations. Jobs, housing, the price of the bread on your table, your very opportunities in life. All of it, shaped by decisions made in rooms most people will never see. And this is where the system begins to reveal its true limits. Because when too much money is created out of nothing, inflation rises, eroding the very value of your labor. When trust weakens, the cracks in the foundation begin to show. And history shows us this pattern again and again and again. Boom, expansion, crisis, recovery. It is a relentless cycle, a heartbeat of debt and reset. And every single time it happens, power shifts, wealth redistributes, and the system, it evolves into something more complex, yet more fragile. Today, money is almost entirely digital. It is invisible, just ghosts of numbers dancing on screens, moving instantly across the world at the speed of light. But the core foundation hasn't changed in 5,000 years. It still depends on one thing: trust.
on a shared belief, on a collective agreement that these numbers actually mean something. And that raises the only question that truly matters. If the entire world is built on trust, what happens when that trust begins to break? Because money didn't appear naturally. It was created. It evolved. And over time, it became one of the most powerful systems shaping human history. But here's the real question. If money is built on trust, belief, and control, what happens when that trust begins to break? Because in the next video, we're going to explore how banks actually create money and why that changes everything. If you want to understand the system behind money, subscribe to the channel. Because once you see how it really works, you can't unsee it.